When launched in 1998, the 206 was Peugeot's long-awaited successor to the 205. Despite its shortcomings in build quality, the 205 sold in bucket loads, and therefore made it a hard act to follow for the 206. So how did it fare? The 206 design is now 8 years old, and although it's starting to show its age, I still think it looks fairly clean and modern. Peugeot never really bothered to give it a facelift either, so a relatively old model like this can still hold its own on the driveways of suburbia without the Joneses getting too sniffy over the fence at you. Not so sure about the naff air intake and the afterthought of a fog light though. The 206 was always going to have a tough job living up to the almost legendary handling characteristics of the 205, which made it so much fun to drive. But Peugeot have largely risen to the challenge and produced a chassis that corners with confidence and, dare I say it, a little bit of flair, so tackling the twisties is a fun and engaging experience. The really nice thing is that all that cornering prowess hasn't been taken at the expense of poor ride. The suspension feels firm, but it never feels harsh, and it's really good at soaking up those potholes and bumps. From a safety perspective, this car doesn't feel particularly solid, but perceptions can be misleading. It actually scored a highly respectable 4 stars in the Euro NCAP safety tests, allowing you to sleep a little more soundly at night, especially if you're lugging your family around in it. A driver's airbag is fitted as standard, but you'll have to buy a car from the millennium onwards if you want to have a passenger airbag as well. An immobiliser is fitted on all 206s and an alarm is on all but the base models, but I would consider no alarm to be a good thing. Nobody takes a blind bit of notice of them these days, and you won't be waking up your neighbours at 2 in the morning every time their cat jumps on your bonnet either. Obviously this ain't no sports car, so the uninspiring 0 to 60 time of around 12 seconds is perhaps not too surprising. But it does actually feel quite nippy and spirited, that you might have to knock it down a gear to get the most out of it. Oh yes, well we're on the subject, that gearbox. It's not altogether that positive, and this isn't helped by the fact that there's too big a space in between the gears. Okay boys and girls, are we sitting comfortably? No, I'm afraid not. It's virtually impossible in this car to find a comfortable driving position. Even if I use the up and down on the seat and the steering wheel adjustment, still can't get comfortable, and this isn't helped by the fact that the pedals are too close together as well. The hard plastics and poor French build quality give the whole cabin a cheap feel as well. I mean, look at this sort of thing. It's a bit naff. On the plus side, the legroom in the rear is one of the best in the class. Add to that the generous boot space, and this gives the 206 the right to call itself a small family car, unlike some of its rivals. So what's this car like to live with week in, week out? Well, reliability's not good. In the latest survey, Peugeot finished bottom out of all manufacturers. Even the most die-hard Francophile's going to struggle to put a brave face on that one. Which is all the more reason to get one with a full service history, and a proper AA inspection report is always going to be money well spent. The nice thing is Peugeot are still making the 206, so if you can live with the poor reliability and dealer service, I'd plump for an early model like this, especially when people are paying over 10 grand for a new one. So in the end the 206 does a pretty good job as a follow-up to the 205. It's not the prettiest car in the world, but as I said before, that's a matter of personal taste. Its good engine and chassis make it easy and fun to drive, and as long as you're not doing too many motorway miles, I think it should be a pretty livable car.